Thank you very much, Anurag, for calling me over here. In fact, last evening when Anurag and Mr. Shashank landed up at my office, I almost felt that this was a last-minute invite. But since I've known Shashank for a very long time, I couldn't refuse coming over here. More importantly, why I accepted the invite was because Anurag told me that this is connected with education, which is close to my heart in lots of ways. And he also informed me that they were felicitating people who are achievers in their various fields, from politics to academics, etc., etc. So thank you very much, Anurag, to have me over here. I must first of all congratulate Mr. Alphonse for writing that wonderful book and being an architect of the NEP, National New Educational Policy of 2020, which was feted by people when it did roll out. But as he said, a lot of people are disappointed with how it has thereafter been taken forward. But that's the sad state in which our country is for various reasons, because people don't measure up to what is conceived at the planning stage. Mr. Sasmit Patra, Dr. Parmath Raj Sinha, Mrs. Rekha Puri, Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, Professor C. Raj Kumar, Mr. Pratham Mittal, and late Dr. Preetham Singh. I believe his relatives are here to accept the award. So I must begin by congratulating all of you. And it goes without saying that all of you have been contributors in your field and have progressed the cause of people. Insofar as I'm concerned, I've lived 3 lives. This is my 3rd innings. I started as a lawyer. I transcended to the bench and became a judge. Went on to become, as you just heard, a Chief Justice of a state which is known as the Devbhoomi, Himachal Pradesh. Of course, comes very close to where Mr. Alphonse comes from, which is known as God's own country. And then, of course, I have come back to the profession as a judge. So my life itself has been, in one sense, an education. Education, why? Because I have always said that if people have fire in their belly, they can achieve anything. I started as a first-generation lawyer. No one in my family had taken to law and was far away from courts, as far as you can be, because there are 3 things you should be far away from: courts, lawyers, doctors, and I think there's a 4th thing which is called police. And nevertheless, hard work got me to becoming a lawyer who was noticed by the then, we have what is known as a collegium system. Everyone knows about it. I don't need to go into it, which comprises of senior judges, and I got elevated to the bench. And thereafter, after I demitted office, I'm back to doing what I was best at, which is deconstructing written word. So as educators, you formulate, form, mold. As lawyers, we deconstruct. And as judges, we interpret the written word. So that by itself, in a sense, is a framework for an education system. Now, every education system, I mean, the NEP, before NEP also we had a system in place. But what is the end goal of education? You may be a student dealing with commerce, you may be a student dealing with medicine, life sciences, social sciences, but what exactly is the end goal. The end goal of any education system, according to me, is that you must be able to train a young person ways and means how to navigate the complexities of life. You have to tell him how to acquire knowledge. You have to tell him how to skill himself. You have to tell him how to utilize his potential as an individual. And more importantly, which is every educationist's purpose in life, which is to become the agent of change and ensure that you help, if not fully, to great extent, in formulating what we call is a just and a sustainable world. We are seeing these challenges every day. The most, let's say, in your face challenges what happened. I don't know whether people in the audience will agree with me or not, but I must say it, is what happened on Diwali or just before Diwali. Every intelligent person would know that if you burst crackers, it's not going to help your cause. But we went ahead and did it. Did we educate our youngsters, the parents, the society as to the amount of damage it would cause? I don't think so. We failed there. So when I say that you rear youngsters, children, to contribute towards what is just and move towards a more developed but a sustainable ecosystem, it is this which is missing in our education system. You may belong to any branch of education, doesn't matter. But the end goal should be that you have an individual who contributes constructively to the ecosystem. One of my favorite readings, insofar education is concerned, and I'm not going to read it because I've already been shown the slip, is what Abraham Lincoln wrote, I'm told, to his son's school teacher. I'm not going to read it, but it is a must read for anyone who's an educationist. It's very easy to get it now because if you Google it, you'll get it, because if I start reading it, she'll show me another slip. So I don't want to get into that zone. But briefly, let me just tell you what is disappointing today. And the numbers that are available, again, from the Government of India data, show that between 1951, when we, just about the time when we attained independence, the literacy rate in the country was 18%. It's a combined literacy rate between urban and rural. And every decade thereafter, except between 1961 and 1971, it grew at the rate of 10%. So as per the 2011 census, the literacy rate post-independence is 74%, where men have a literacy rate of 81% and women have 67%. But what is troubling, and this is a thought that I want you to mull over, is that if you pick up a sample of 1,000 people across the country, which is persons from the age group of 5 and above, you find that out of every 1,000 people or persons who've got graduation is, if you take men, it is only 40, if you take men, it's 64 out of 1,000. And women, of females, are 42. Post-graduation, men 18 out of 1,000 and women are 14. So it breaks down to graduates about 6.4% amongst men, 4.2% amongst women, and post-graduation it's about 1.8% and 1.4%. it is a dismissal figure. And what bothers me even more, and as educationists, I think all of you should be bothered about, is the reasons for persons not enrolling in educational institutions. We can have another day discussion, a day discussion as to why, what is the kind of education that our institutions are giving. There's a huge problem. There may be exceptions, IITs may be exceptions, IIMs may be exceptions, there are some schools which are an exception. But the reasons, apart from various, are, first of all, some people are not interested in education, you're going to have those kind of people. Then financial constraints, engaged in domestic activities. And when you come to domestic activities, out of every 1,000 persons, 218, which is about 21.8%, are women. So therefore, women necessarily have to look after house and hearth, and they can't get educated. And especially where women are concerned, there are two additional reasons why women can't take to education. Non-availability of female teachers, and this is something, Mr. Patra, you must look at, and non-availability of toilets for girls. The third factor is actually community. So when you look at this kind of an ecosystem, you realize that some of us sitting in this room are very lucky. I was lucky, I went to a good school here, and which is why I'm here. But there is a vast majority of youngsters who haven't made it. It's not because of lack of potential, it's because of lack of opportunity, it's because of lack of education vis-a-vis their children, vis-a-vis the children's parents and their grandparents. When an impediment such as community comes in, there is obviously a lack of education, where parents tell their children not to, or especially the girl children, that you can't be educated, your brother can be educated, you have to look after the house, you have to look after other members of the family. And these are aspects that as educationists and other people who are change makers, whether you're in politics or even when we were sitting as judges, we should do our bit. One of my pet peeves as a judge was, and we have rosters, I don't know how many of you know how judges operate. You do a particular jurisdiction in a given set of period. So I used to have education once during my lifespan as a judge, and that was the toughest roster. What I found was there were youngsters who wanted to get into institutions, but they were stopped for some silly reason that the original of his base degree was not attached. And I would always tell the lawyer for the institution where you rejected such an application, why is it so difficult for you to coordinate with that institution, pick up the phone, use the email, find out, is this a genuine degree? Why do you reject it when people are fighting for one mark or the other? So my constant refrain was that, we devise ways of ensuring that children are kept out of institution rather than brought into institutions. Thank you very much, because I don't want another slip to be shown to me.